Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast, where we explore consciousness, creation, existence, and evolution through conversations with universal beings. I'm Michelle Vickers, and this is part 103 of the story of creation. So, if you're new here, we are having conversations. This is recorded in front of a live audience, but I'm having conversations with universal beings, the beings who created existence, humanity, who created the universe. And why are we doing this? Well, that's a good question. So we can get answers. So we can begin to understand our origins, but also the origins of the universe and how humanity is meant to work with the universe. I want to know our history. And so that's how my work started 20 years ago. And then in December of 2024, the creator asked if I would share the story of creation. And so we're a year into the story, and I can tell you I've become a completely different person because I've learned so much more, and I've already been doing this for 20 years. So this story of creation it's so important for humanity, especially right now, because every human that has come into a human form, into existence right now, is because you're here to participate in creating the future of human existence and the resurrection of humanity, because that's really what it is. Humanity has been suppressed and controlled and manipulated for tens of thousands of years. And not only are we tired and exhausted from trying to understand and trying to figure it out, but what we've learned so far in the story of creation is it's not about fighting against those who have manipulated and controlled. It's recognizing that was their journey as a soul. And our job is to actually completely ignore it and move in the direction of our own soul purpose. And so let's see. And every being that shows up, every universal being that showed up, that shared, integral information about our own existence, has changed us. And it's quite phenomenal. So let's see. So today we've got the first angelic of the second realm of angelics. So these beings, the second stream angelics, they're tasked universally. So when a soul is created, even a universal soul, a universal being, we have a purpose. It's why so many people feel like they have a purpose in the world, because you do. But it's understanding that it's not a job description. This is what you're tasked with. Go create it, go do it, which is exactly why humanity is floundering a little bit, because we've been taught through the education system, through all of the systems that we live through, that we need a full strategy. We need to understand and we need to learn before we do. And the truth is, the foundation of existence is about doing, and you learn through doing. And this is also why you have, many people, not just children, but many people, labeled with things like, what is it called when they, attention deficit disorder. So thank you guys. That's the live audience. That's why we do this together. But when you have humans who are labeled with attention deficit disorder, it's completely ridiculous, truly, because humans are not meant to learn and then do. Humans are meant to do and learn through the doing. It's just the basics of existence. And so we have all of these people, or children in school, if you will, who just want to do. They don't want to sit and learn how we've been taught how to learn. And there's a reason we've been taught how to learn that way, so that we will be good little human sheep who will follow the rules and not question any aspect of existence, which is ultimately how they manipulated us. But that's not the interesting part, okay? A lot of people are still angry about that, and they're entirely focused on their anger. The interesting part is, okay, so if they've taught us to ignore our instincts, what are our instincts? Who are we? And they've covered up our origins. They've covered up the history of human existence. They've covered up the history of existence itself in the universe. So those are big questions. And that's what we've been exploring in the story of creation. But also, I've been exploring these things for over 20 years. That is the heart and soul of what I do and who I am as a human. That's my purpose. That's why I came here, to not only explore it myself, but to share that back with people who are ready for that information. So the second stream angelics, so the first angelic from that stream, he is here. And so, okay. So we're going to share his name. And this is going to make a whole bunch of people go super crazy because they don't understand, and that's okay. Yeah. So because he says it's time to share his name. So this is Lucifer. Okay. And I need you to understand that today, in order for you to hear that, you're going to have to let go of every single belief you have, particularly as it relates to religion, because religion is another of those structures that have created dynamics and beliefs in your head that challenge your ability to access truth, number one, and to understand who you are and why you exist. That's why they've done it, so that you'll fear beings like Lucifer. So you'll fear beings like the devil and Satan and all of these universal beings that are magnificent and have contributed to existence and the creation of existence. And so if you're still in the paradigm of religion and you're still scared of those words, even, let alone thinking that they're beings and they're out there, right? The reality is the creator is not watching over you in the sense of telling you what to do and, judging you every step of the way. Either are these beings. And none of those beings have contributed to your suffering. In fact, they've all been here to ensure your success. And it's time you get to know them. So Lucifer's showing up today, and he wants you to begin to understand that the second stream angelics were tasked with creating experience. And so what does that mean? What does that look like for you today in your life? Okay. So first, it means you chose your parents. You chose the circumstances of your birth and your ultimate existence, because you kind of stack the deck, okay? And what I mean by that is, and this is the part where a lot of people have a hard time, especially if you've gone through challenges, immense challenges that society has taught us this shouldn't be that way, right? It shouldn't be that way. Here's the reality. Your soul knew what was going to happen to you. And you have to stop looking at it like something happened to you, that something happened to hurt you, to shame you, to harm you, and that you are less than because you had that challenge. Okay. So let's say, for example, you had an extreme birth challenge. Maybe your parents gave you up for adoption. Maybe your parents, ignored you. Maybe whatever it is. Okay. They put layers and layers of guilt and shame on you. Here's the thing. Okay. When we are in between our physical lives, because yes, we have multiple. And if you're not believing we have multiple, this is going to be way too much information for you. Okay. But the reality is we have a level of awareness that when we're not in physical form, so in between human lives, okay, where we understand existence. We know how it works. We know how we fit into existence. We know why we exist and why the creator and the angelics created us and what our specific gift to humanity is and our specific gift to existence and universal existence is. Okay. We understand about consciousness. We know how it works. We understand how to contribute to consciousness. We understand how to receive from consciousness. We understand how to exchange abundance with the entire universe. That's what happens in between our lives. That's also the origins of human existence. That's how we were created to exist. And so what happens is once the control and manipulation began, okay, it triggered a shift in consciousness. And what that means is it created a shift that they wanted to, what's the words he's using? They wanted to break your connection with consciousness, with your soul, with the awareness of existence, okay? Why? Because when you understand existence, then you understand why you're here. You understand what you're meant to be doing. You understand what your purpose is and how to fulfill it. No one can control you when you understand who you are and why you exist. No one. Because all of the lies that have been told, specifically around the education system, the medical system, the religious system, and the financial system, and the governments that enforce them, if you will, those systems are designed to strategically oppose your natural existence. That's the simplicity of it. And in doing so, they cause you to second guess everything. They cause you to not feel like you know what you're feeling, really. They cause you to look outside of yourself for answers. They cause you to feel like you have to prove yourself before someone will give you anything. And all of those aspects of physical existence are what keeps you locked to the lies. It's what keeps you in a cycle that you can't actually access truth. Okay. And so this is why when you fight against those systems, you're never going to get truth because there is no truth in those systems. So if you're sitting there waiting to understand why the government lied to you, why, your partner lied to you, why whoever it is lied to you, the answers won't come because they don't actually believe that they're lying. and some of them that know that they're strategically lying are never interested in telling you the truth because they're interested completely and wholly in their exploration of what it is they're doing. Right? And so when you feel into that and when you allow yourself to really begin to see the bigger picture of how this manipulation unfolded, then you start to see the solution. Because the solution is not about recreating the system. It is not about fixing the system. The solution is understanding that when humans remember their own existence, the universe, not just humanity, but the entire universe will come back into balance. That's what healing is. Healing is restoring balance. So if your body is sick or if there's something challenged in your body, it's because you're out of balance. You're out of balance with your own existence. I know that's hard to believe because the medical system has told us so many lies. But it simply means that you're out of balance. And when you restore balance, you come back into a fully balanced state of being. That's what existence is. And the only reason it never goes out of balance. So universal existence never goes out of balance. Humans do because this universe is built on free will. And so it's not like someone's making you or forcing you. to believe in falsehoods and lies. And it's that you're choosing to participate in them. Why are you choosing? Because you've been trained your whole life. From the moment you were conceived, not just born, conceived, you were picking up all of the brainwashing, all of the programming, and all of the manipulation to ensure that you would be controlled. And this is why humanity as a whole is having a more challenging time coming back to truth. Because receiving truth from universal beings means you have to rock the solid foundation that you've built for your life. And yet here's the truth. How solid is it if you second guess yourself? How solid is it if you're questioning your own existence and if you're worthy and if you're valuable enough to exist? If you're valuable enough to be in the relationship that you want? If you're valuable enough to have the money that you want, to have the home and the life that you want, to do the traveling and have the experiences that you want? That's not balanced. That's not balanced. Wanting from a place of deficiency is not wanting. It's not balanced. Wanting from a place of curiosity, wanting from a place of pure instinct, that's balanced. And it's completely different, because that energy is what allows you to propel yourself into exploring your potential. So go back to those kids who are in school who are labeled, AD, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter, because I don't believe in labels. I think that they're absolutely ridiculous because they're not aligned with universal existence. They're all aligned with this control and manipulation. And I get it. If you have a child who's struggling in school, you're looking for solutions, you're looking for answers. And the truth is, the labels get them more attention to make sure that they're going to be good little sheep when they grow up. That's not what this is about. Life is about exploring your potential. It's about understanding existence, why you exist, universal existence, and the existence of humanity. Why was humanity created? Well, that's what we've been exploring, and it is a fascinating journey. And at this point in this journey, Lucifer wants to explain to you that not only are you important to existence, you're vital. You're vital to balance being restored on a human level, because balance is completely stable universally. It's only in humanity that it's not stable. Why? Because the majority of humans, like significant majority, are following the control and manipulation still. Even though many, many of them believe there's something wrong, but they're still following it. So the question is, why? Why would you follow something even though you know it's not right? The answer is really simple. Because you don't know what the actual truth is. So you will remain following the system that's broken. That's what we're doing. We're revealing the truth. Not revealing, we're exploring it, we're receiving it, we're getting it. I don't have to reveal it, because the truth is you have access to it. You have access to everything in universal existence, direct to consciousness. Why? Because consciousness is a history of existence. It's a history of the entire universe. It's the history of human existence, but also every aspect. So when I say, that the first stream of angelics created matter, the entire process of how that was created, it's in consciousness. It's just waiting for you to pick it up. The entire history of the second stream of angelics who created the opportunity for experience. And here's the thing, they were only created once the first stream angelics went, well, now we've got all this matter, but what are we going to do with it? We're going to create experiences. Okay, well, we need beings who can create experiences. So let's create some beings. So this is in conversation with the creator. And together they created the second stream angelics. And then there's a whole bunch of others, right? You've got planets, you've got stars, you've got all kinds of things that are a combination of both matter and experience. And then they went, okay, well, now we can go deeper because we've got planets. Let's populate. But population didn't come from, let's create some humans and put them in there. It came from, we have this incredible experience. Incredible experience. Let's evolve it. Let's see how far it can go. And let's create beings who want to go play there. So original humans were not archaic. They're not cavemen. And we certainly didn't come from apes. Original humans came in with full consciousness. Again, cavemen, apes, both of those concepts and the Big Bang, all of this is all science-based so that you, right? Because you have to remember, scientists are super curious and they're incredible. They're following their instincts, but they're following their instincts based on the rules that they picked up from the education system. So every single thing, there's a reason you have to get a degree, right? To be a scientist, to be a doctor, to be anything of, let's call it, value on this structured world that we're living in. Why? So that they can make sure you're trained to uphold the entire structure of society. Okay? And so in doing so, they created a system that would block human existence. So no one can take human existence away from you. No one can take truth away from you. But they can train you, if you choose to participate, they can train you to believe those things don't exist. And that's what they did. And so we've got a whole bunch of humans who are suffering as a result. And what I mean by suffering is, so depression is what happens when your instincts tell you there's more and you know the truth, but you don't want to access it, okay? Oh, no, sorry, that's not true. That's anxiety. Anxiety is the result of you know the truth, but you don't want to access it, you don't want to accept it. That's what depression is. Depression, and when I use depression in this way, I want you to really understand that when you know fundamentally that what your boss is asking you to do, or what your teacher is asking you to do, or what your family is asking you to do, or what you think you have to do is not what you're meant to be doing, depression sets in just like that. 100%. It festers. And then you've got anxiety, okay? And anxiety is what happens when you block the truth from yourself. So depression is when someone else is blocking it from you, and anxiety is when you block it from yourself. And this is experiences like, I know this person might be cheating on me. I suspect it, but I don't really want to know because then I'm going to have to change my life. I'm going to have to change, how I exist. And so what happens is you have anxiety about everything. So every conversation you have with that person, your fear is, I don't want to know. Even though you want to know, you don't want to know. And so this is where we are as a human race, right? We've got a whole bunch of people saying, I want the truth. But their energy is like, hell no, I'm blocking that shit as long as I possibly can because I don't want to deal with it. And so what Lucifer's saying is you have to be open to truth. Truth isn't a concept. It's not a belief system. Truth is one of the foundational aspects of human existence, of universal existence. So what does that mean? Truth is, it's a part of consciousness. And it's literally, it's the history. It's the exact experience that happened, and it's recorded, and now it's in consciousness. So you have access to it. You have access to all the information, right? Nothing is confidential. Nothing is held back. And this is where, again, as a human race, humans genuinely believe they can hide stuff from other humans, which, when you understand existence, it's probably one of the most ridiculous things in the world. But we've been taught to hide things based on guilt and shame and fear of someone finding out, right? If you did something and now you feel shameful, you better hide it, right? And you've probably got some secrets in your past that you don't want anyone to know about. But here's the thing, the universe knows. And if you're holding the energy of hoping that no one else finds out, you're actually participating in feeding this control and manipulation. It's understanding, okay, that every experience you've had from the moment you've been conceived, all those challenges, the experiences that made you feel shame and guilt. Here's the reality, okay? Shame and guilt aren't universal energies. You were just taught to feel them. They don't actually exist. Why? Because as humans with full access to consciousness, we don't have any time for guilt or shame, but also we have no time for judgment. So no one is walking around judging you because no one cares. Because if that's the experience you wanted, then have at it. That's how universal existence works. That's who you are in between lives. That's why it feels so awkward in this life, why it's so frustrating and it's annoying that you can't just do the things you want. Why you have to, help other people understand what it is you're doing or whatever it is. But the truth is, you're in this world where existence is about to change. And it's going to change significantly through 2026. This will be the greatest. So 2025, we experienced the biggest shift and change in self-recognition, because that's what 2025 was about. 2026 is honoring ourselves, but it's being able to recognize that we are the future of human existence. We are, you are, everyone is. And in order to create that future, we have to come back to truth. We can't take the lies with us. Because that whole existence of having full awareness of every aspect of existence needs to be the foundation of the future. Not, I want a nicer life. I want a nicer home. I want a partner that communicates with me better. I want a better job. That is not the future of human existence, okay? The future of human existence is every human in connection with who they are, in connection with the universe itself, exploring their potential. So it is a world of explorers. It is not a world of people who work, have jobs, make money, and whatever else it is that we do. It's understanding that when you are propelling yourself into your potential, okay, that means you're exploring every opportunity that comes up. You're not carrying any resentment, any judgment, any fear. Okay. And you're also not carrying any shame or guilt. So there may be something where you're like, okay, I'm not really sure about the outcome, but that's the whole point. You're not exploring if you're sure of the outcome. You're not actually doing anything different. That's the point. Existence is not meant for you to do anything you've already done before. Just let that sink in. Existence is not meant for you to do anything you've done before. So just think about that in your daily life. Have you ever eaten the same thing more than once? Right. Have you ever had the same conversation more than once because you have to tell someone what you did? Those are things that waste our time, because here's the reality, okay? You're not supposed to have conversations about things you've already done. We're not created to. Why? Because we should be focusing on exploring the potential. So if you've had an argument in your relationship, the result and the reaction isn't to call friends to talk about it, to help you work through it. It's for you to feel into the truth of what's happening so you can make the choice you need to move forward in your exploration in that relationship. Whether it's time to leave the relationship, whether it's time to go deeper, whether it's time to have more clarity, whether it's time to have more communication, doesn't matter. It's your exploration. But what do? We call our friends and we talk about it so we can talk it through. We can process it and, get clear on what we want to do. Here's the thing. If you're having a conversation to get clarity, that's one thing. But if you're having a conversation to get people on your side, to get people to see it how you see it, that's coercion. Plain and simple. And we do it every single day because we've been trained. There's so many aspects of this world that are being revealed. They're coming to the surface. Why? Because we need to see them all. It's not just a little bit here and a little bit of manipulation over there. And it's not just in those, 5 systems and structures. It's understanding that it has poisoned every aspect of your ability to think. That's it. And that's great. That's great to know. Why? Because it reminds you that the brain was not designed to lead. It has zero capacity to lead. Zero. Why? Because the brain was designed to witness what you were experiencing so that you could process it and allow yourself to go deeper into the feelings and explore your potential. That's all the brain was designed to do. That's it. You were designed to feel your way through everything. Why? Feelings are not emotions, guys. Emotions are the stories from your brain that you tell yourself about how you feel. Feelings are actually the energy of the experience. You can feel the energy of when someone is so angry at you and they're trying to hurt you, right? You end up shaking with it. That's a feeling. But it's what you do with that awareness that matters. And most of us have been trained to take that feeling, smush it into our emotions, take it into our mind and go, what should I do? I don't know what to do. You do know what to do. You just don't want to admit it to yourself because it means you have to change your entire life. And this is the big, big concept of universal existence that humanity needs to accept in 2026. You are the master of your destiny, but you're not going to master it with your mind. You can only master existence through the energy itself, the energy in you, the energy in the universe, the energy in consciousness. Consciousness gives you all the information you need. You are the fullness of who you are. And so your mission is to allow yourself to accept truth, to begin to not only see it, but to trust that the truth is there to help you become who you're meant to be. It's not there as a threat that we've been told, right? Most people fear truth. Why? Because we've been taught it's a threat. It's a threat to our own existence, our happiness, our joy. No. Truth means you have to create change, which means you have to put effort in, right? And you have to explore new options, new opportunities, because in those new opportunities, that's where your joy is. That's where your potential is. And that's what most people don't want to do. So they sit and they wait. And they wait for everything to change so they can just step into the final result. And the truth is, humanity's not going to survive that. There's not enough people who want to not only see the truth, but who want to participate in creating the future of human existence. And that's what we're doing. We need to create awareness to the level that enough people can accept that truth, we are the future of human existence. Why? Because remember when I was talking about all those past lives that you've had? Yeah, you're going to have a lot more. I know you may be thinking, hell no, I'm never coming back to this. But that's the whole point. You aren't coming back to this. That's why we're creating the future of human existence. So you can come back and have experiences that were actually aligned with who you were created to be. So you can explore your potential freely. You don't have to come in and have a job that you need to make money so that you can pay your rent or pay your mortgage or pay your car or whatever it is that you've locked yourself into because of this system, that strategy that taught you to make darn sure you're so committed, you're exhausted every single day. It's not what human existence is about. And it's also not about, being free and going on vacation every day, because that's not it either. It's understanding that you're an explorer naturally, and they want you to get your exploring roots back. So start to use them now. Start to be willing to ask questions and to have conversations with the people that you love, with the people that you work with, and just start asking questions of, okay, so help me understand why we're doing this. And it's being able to follow how you feel as a result of those conversations to continue the conversation to truth. Okay, so how do you access truth inside of yourself when you've been trained not to? Super question, incredible question. The reality is you have to want it. Most people don't want it. They say they want it, but they don't, because again, like I said, it creates a situation where you're going to have to change something. And so what they really want you to understand and accept and recognize is that you're ready for that change. That's why it happened, right? It goes back to the same thing of why you chose your parents, why you chose your birth experience, why you chose all the experiences you've had throughout your entire life. Because you needed to have the wisdom that you gained and the knowledge that you have acquired through this control and manipulation system. Why would you need that? The truth is, you need to have that to overcome it. You can't overcome something you don't understand. You are the key to human existence and human evolution and the future of human existence. You're the key. All those challenges that you've gone through, they didn't just happen to you. They happened because you strategically set yourself up to have the exact experiences you would need to help and contribute to the future of human existence, and to you participating in creating the future of human existence, not just so God could see what's happening. No. God doesn't do anything like that. He's not creating your future. You are. We as a collective, humanity, we as a collective are creating the future of human existence. But we can't if we're still sitting here angry and fighting against the system that created it. It doesn't have legs in the universe. It can only use your mind. And it's your mind that's the key. And the truth is, you're not here to overcome your mind. Your mind is brilliant, but it's not a leader. Your soul, the energy, the foundation of your existence, your frequency and your vibration, that's what's meant to lead you. That's where you have the power of universal recognition. That's where you can connect with consciousness and understand every aspect of existence before now, right? Whether it was 5 minutes before or whether it was 50 million years ago. You have access to all of that. But you got to start asking big questions, and you have to want to get the answer. If you've got an attitude, or if you're blocked and closed because you believe something existed a certain way, just like we started talking about with Lucifer. Most people believe, because of the stories in the Bible, that Lucifer's bad. But he's not. He's a universal being. And in fact, he's the one who's created experience for all of humanity. And he was tired of hiding. That's why he came out today. He's tired of hiding. I've known him for a really long time. I know that's going to create more judgment out in the world. That's great. I don't really care. I don't care who judges me because the truth is, I understand existence. I understand universal beings. I understand my own existence, and I know why I'm here in this life. And it's not to reveal lies, it's to share truth. It's to remind you of who you are in your own existence. It's to remind you that that craving for more is valid and valuable to you, but it's also valuable to the entire human race and to the universe. There's a reason you exist. And there's a reason that who you are doesn't always feel quite right. But we can change that. We're going to keep going. This is part 103. I will see you next time for the story of creation. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye for now.